Coming up in this video, the builders are back. Problems with the waterworks and moving the water tank. But before that, I want to show you this place that some friends of ours took us to.
Okay,
hi everyone, welcome back. We're out for the day, we're off to Nong Khai with some friends. This is our friend David.
Hi.
And his wife Hope.
Hi.
And of course, do you know who this is?
Cheers.
Okay, so we're going to show you around this place. We've just stopped off for a coffee. Beautiful place they've brought us to. What's it called, Pookie?
Hold on. The forest.
Dave, tell us what it's called.
Coffee.
Yeah, forest.
Music, coffee.
It's
Music.
Called, hang on, well, I'll do that again, and I'm not going to cut that out. It's called the Forest Cafe, but they've spelled it as for rest, as if pull up for a sleep. The For Rest Cafe. It's beautiful. We're going to have a little walk around here and we'll show you what they've got. Dave was telling us, this was just flat land, and they've built this place from nothing. The amount of time is incredible, it really is. There's just so much to see. So yeah, we're going to have a little walk around in a minute and we'll show you around the place. Coffee's good, the pastries are good that they're selling. So yeah, we'll have a little walk around. Dave was just telling me, even this is all man-made, and I'm reminded of Jeff Carter. Those of you who don't know Jeff Carter, and I'll be surprised, there's probably all of you know Jeff Carter, who films the videos in Thailand, but he does landscape gardening back in the UK, and he's actually made something like this in his garden. But he did exactly the same thing, all man-made with concrete, cement, paving slabs and old stones. But it's absolutely beautiful. It just looks so natural. It looks like we've come into a hill, like walked into close to a hillside with a natural waterfall. I just saying to Pook, I wouldn't mind something like this, a smaller version, built in our garden. So Jeff, if you're watching, when you're over, obviously you can't work here in Thailand, but you can maybe come and talk to us about it and give us some advice. So let's have a little walk around from where we were sitting having our coffee. We're finished now, so we're gonna slide. Hey, hang on a minute. Sorry, Dave. So there's me trying to push the door, look. I didn't get a great education, I thought I'd tell you. So this is the actual shop. Now the thing is, because of COVID, they're not allowing you to sit inside at the moment, which is understandable. I'll just give you a quick glimpse of this cabinet here where the pastries are. They're just restocking some of the things that we took out. These are great. Now, as Dave said, it's not really that cheap, but then for this quality, you don't expect it to be cheap. This is a bit of a special place, so you expect the prices to be a little higher than what you might pay in town. But even so, it's still fine. The four of us, we all had coffees and we all had pastries. I think it came to about 700 baht, something like that. They've got these little misters everywhere as well, keeping everything moist because it's very, very hot. We've got a beautiful day today. And these little misters help keep everything growing nicely. Strange looking. Is that building over there open, Dave? Can you go in there or not?
Yes,
you can.
Yeah.
What is it? Is it a seating place?
Yeah, a seating place, yeah.
Okay. Up here?
Yep, up there.
Ah, I see. Look at this. It seems like they've got this. Oh, it's open. They've got this round little building here, a little seating area. Air conditioned. And some fans, very nice. Really unusual, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So this is the source of that waterfall. This is the highest point by the looks of it. Sit here and look out over the gardens. You might be able to spot Pook, or maybe listen out, you might hear Pook before you spot her. We're going to go down and see if we can find the ladies now. Hello!
Hello! I'm going to show you my heart.
Okay. That's the little shop there, and this is the seating area where we were just now. It's a lake over there. You see, something like this, they've got so much potential. They'll be able to have like fishing there where you can pay a daily fee to fish as well. And then they've got a captive audience for food and coffee. So much potential yet to go with this place. And these are the toilets. I see what he means. See, this was all been built. There's no natural rock here. This is all man-made. Look at this, wow. I wasn't coming in to film you, Dave, honestly. I came in to film the room because you told me. This is incredible, look at this, it's just like being in a cave. We just come out for a walk at the back of the coffee shop here. Just can't believe it, the way they've landscaped this place, the amount of money they must spend on just rock alone. And now they're building these structures here. And it looks like these are going to be, places to stay, like part of a resort. See these over here, the 2-storey with the staircases going up?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what that turns out like.
In fact, I'm going to get a picture of those staircases because that is similar to what we're looking for the back of our house. But yeah, it looks like what they've done, they've built a coffee shop in a piece of, on a piece of land that was flat and barren and nothing on it. They've planted all of these trees and put the grass down and loads of flowers. And then what they've done is they've built the coffee shop. Now the coffee shop, there's no way that a coffee shop would sustain the amount of expense they've got in a place like this. Now look at that tree there, look. No way a coffee shop would sustain the expense of this place. But now it's becoming beautiful and popular, it looks like they're building these structures, and I would imagine that this is going to be some kind of resort. It's become popular, people know about it now, and yeah, it looks like they're going to build a resort. And you've got another lake here. It's 2 lakes, one either side. So I want to get that because that is an option for us with our staircase going up onto our roof terrace. Imagine staying in a place like this and the room is just looking out over this lake. How peaceful and relaxing is that? Another one just over the back there. Absolutely stunning. I'll put a map up to show you where this place is if anyone wants to come and visit this place, but I'd highly recommend it. The coffee's good, pastries are good that they sell, and the gardens are absolutely stunning, even though it's still a work in progress. Really nice place to visit. We finished up at the Forest Cafe and Dave took us on to one of his favourite restaurants up on the Mekong River. What I'll do, I'll save that review for another video. One of the reasons I decided to leave that review until later on is because I really want to catch up with the progress on the house. There's been an awful lot going on at the house and I need to catch up on it. People keep on asking about it. I've got loads of videos. I've fallen well behind as usual, as I usually do. So that's what I'm going to do, is in this video now I'm going to catch up with a lot of the work that's been going on here at the house as we got the builders back. So yeah, we'll catch up and get some of that covered. This morning we're moving the water tank to a temporary home, and the reason being is because at the moment we've got the water tank down the side of the house here, which is okay, but you've got the pump close to the house and it'd be nice to have a walkway down the side here. So, and the other thing is, of course, the water tank's out in the open. We could build a shelter for that, but I'm going to be building some outbuildings down here. Oh, by the way, the wall's going in as well. That's another thing. The wall's going in. It's going to be close to the water tank, and so it'll make it difficult for the guys to render. So we need to move the water tank at some point. So we thought, well, we'll do the temporary thing now, and then when the outbuilding's built, we can put the water tank and the pump in there. It does away with the noise. It keeps the tank in the shade, keeps the water cooler. So that's where the end point's going to be. That's where the outbuildings are going to be, down the far end of the garden in the corner there. So I've put this little base together, ready to sit the water tank on today. So what we're going to do is let this water run out, empty the tank out. I'm going to cut this pipe here, the feed from the water tank into the pump, and then it's just a case of when the tank's moved up there, we'll run a pipe back down here from the tank to here. Saves me moving the pump for the time being, because the feed for the house comes out of the pump and into a pipe underground here. The other thing that I need to do is, we've got one of those floating valves. It's a floating cut-off. I'll show you that when the tank's empty. I'll show you what that looks like. But what you've got is you've got a float valve inside here, and it works. I think it's got like a ball bearing inside it. So all the time it's hanging down in the water, there's a float, a cord, and then the actual ball bearing thing. When the water runs out, or when the water gets down to a certain level, that's hanging on this cable here. That float is hanging on this cable here. So in fact, what I can do, I can lift it and I'll show you. If I lift this there, so at that level there, the float is no longer floating on the water. It drops down, the ball bearing drops, and it cuts the pump off. And it's a fantastic little device, because these pumps, you run out of water, they can continue running, and that will damage them. You never want to run these pumps dry. So with this little valve, if the water level ever drops, then you've got a fail-safe there for the pump. Would you hold the camera for me, please? There she comes. Look, she's out doing the gardening already. What time is it? About 6 in the morning? Yeah. Sun's up. Beautiful day. Okay. So I just wanted to show them this float valve working. Right, so if I undo the top of the tank. Now, here it is. So that's the float, and once it drops to a certain level, this drops down like that. Can you see that?
Yeah, coming down, please.
Yeah? Yeah. So, once the water level comes up, this floats to the surface and the pump kicks in. What was that?
The lid dropped on the floor.
Oh. It's as simple as that. So there's a ball bearing inside there that makes and breaks the connection. Water drops, cuts the pump off. Ingenious, isn't it, eh? Yeah. So, first of all, that pipe there, like I say, that feed pipe from the water tank to the pump, I'm going to have to extend that. Simply a case of running a pipe and then putting a couple of elbows in to fit into there. That float valve is what cuts the electric off here. There's the electric supply for the pump. That float valve comes in and goes in between the electrical supply and the plug socket. And so it's just like a switch. So I just need to disconnect that, extend that cable obviously, because this float valve, that's the cable that comes with it, it ends there. So I need to reconnect that into a waterproof box down there, extend the cable down and put it into here. Like I say, I'm leaving the pump here for the time being until we get the pump house built, where we're going to put the water tank in a separate building. The only other thing I need to do is down the end there at the road, that's where the water meter is and the government supply of water, coming up through this plastic tube at the moment into here. So all I'm going to do is undo that coupling there, that connection, that elbow, and I've got a straight connector so I can extend this, run that further down there, and then the other end of that extension will connect into this elbow, and then that will be the feed into the tank. So that's the plan. We'll see how it works out. I'll do some more filming as we go through, but yeah, it shouldn't take too long. And this base, all I did was put some blocks down, put some stone in between it to hold it, some earth around it, and then some more blocks on top. 80 by 80, that covers the base of the tank, and that should do it. No water, darling.
When you're gonna let the water out, I'm gonna plug this in.
Okay, all right.
And I'm gonna use the water to water plant.
Look at that, not wasting the water.
Aye.
So when we take the bottom plug out to drain the rest of the water off, Pook's going to catch it and go and water the trees and the flowers.
Okay.
Very resourceful. That's what I've done. I've tied the float valve up like this for now, and I'm going to be standing here keeping an eye on this tank, just making sure it doesn't run out of water, because if it does it can damage the pump. And the water in there, it's not going to waste. Pook's using it to water the garden. It's a good pump, that, isn't it? It really gives a good head of pressure coming out of the garden hose. So washing the car and things like that, it's going to be good. Plus we should be able to get a decent length of hose to be able to cover the whole of the garden. It is powerful. Go on, full power. Give it full power. That pump is a Mitsubishi EP205R. I've just come downstairs to do a short video clip on the work I did at the weekend in moving the water tank and explaining why I did it. As I came down here, I could smell these as I came out. Pook's just been up to the little market up the end of the road. Not Pak Soy.
No.
Nong Bua.
Nong Bua, soy Nong Bua.
Soy Nong Bua. And bought some of these. Tell everyone what they're called.
This is called Pa Tong Ko.
Say it again.
Pa Tong Ko.
Pa Tong Ko.
Well, actually, Pa Tong Ko.
Pa Tong Ko.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sound like what's her name? The one cooking.
Nigella Lawson.
Nigella Lawson. Pa Tong Ko.
Okay. And they're like a donut mix. That's what they remind me of. Very similar to donuts. And they're great. Really, really good. Really good. Not that good for you though, I don't suppose. It's deep fried
we don't have every
flour.
day. Come on.
No, every now and then. And then just to sweeten them up a little bit, you dip them in condensed milk. How are they, Pookie? Good? Okay, right, let me get on. I'm going to do this video quickly, talking about what happened the weekend. So what happened was, we got the guys around here who are building the wall for us, dividing wall between our property and the neighbours. And you can see they've got well underway with that, digging these footings out. They're going down 6 metres, 1 metre for each post. That seems a bit over the top, but It's Pook's brother, his workforce who are doing this for us. Sorry, Pook's brother's friend Joey. His workforce are doing this for us, and he said we've got to make sure it's right, obviously, being part of the family. So, yeah, these have gone down 1 metre. And so often you see in Thailand these walls around properties leaning over at 45 degrees where the footings haven't been dug deep enough. You get heavy rain, it washes away the soil and the sand around the footings, and that's it, the wall just leans. So anyway, what I had to do, here's the water pump. We had the water tank right next to it, and it was coming out close to where the wall's going to be. Would have made it impossible for the guys to render that wall. So we've decided to move the water tank. In doing so, we've also decided on making some changes. Okay, so I'm going to have some outbuildings built over the far end of the garden there, over the far side of the garden. So the wall's coming along here, and it's going along there to that end wall behind those banana trees. In that corner, we're going to have some outbuildings built, and eventually right the way along that wall, that back wall. But initially, we're having a couple of outbuildings down in that corner, and one of them is going to be to house the water tank and the water pump. So that way you don't get any noise from the water pump when you're sitting in the garden or in the house or in the kitchen area here, where Pook's... Hey, save some of those for me. And... But the other thing is that since moving this tank here, I've realised it used to get a bit of shade down the side there, whereas here there's no shade. Once the sun comes up over this area here, this is in the sun for most of the day, and the water inside gets very warm. You can't have a cold shower. It's quite warm water that comes out. So that's the other reason why that tank is going in the building down the end there. It's going to be insulated.
When the water hot, it may be good in the winter. Thai winter.
Yeah, well, we've got water heaters to do that. We can have the choice. You can have hot or cold. At the moment, we've got no choice regarding cold water because this gets very warm. Now that the water tank's moved, the builders can continue building the wall for us. So all the holes are dug, the cement's been poured to give the padstone at the bottom. These are about 1 metre deep from where the lower part of the wall starts. And then in there on top of that padstone they put these steel cages, and on those steel cages, you'll see in a sec, they wire in these steel reinforced cages for the posts themselves. And there you can see he's got the caging down the bottom there, wiring in this cage for the post, and then they'll put a former around that, and then that will be filled with cement to give us a nice solid post for the wall. They've already done these and they've started to put the cement in. Absolutely solid. And really quite simple the way they do it as well. They use a clear plastic tube. Here it is. So this clear plastic tube is what they use as like a long spirit level. You can run that as far as you want, put water inside it, and that will give you the level to make sure that everything is level. It just works like a spirit level. They're using water inside a clear plastic tube, checking everything's level, and they're using bamboo as the stays once they've got it plumb. And then here's the... Oh, there she is again, look.
I'm going to post office, okay?
Go to the post office, okay. The rest of this steel is for the reinforcement between the blocks that they'll put in. So you can see from up here on the roof terrace, going down there towards the road, and then straight over there towards that wall that divides us from the other neighbours over the back there. Let's go down and have a closer look. So they dug down, they put down a cement base, concrete base, and then what they did on top of that, they put down the cage, wired this upright, this reinforced steel to that cage, and then put more concrete down there to hold the cage in place. Now they've built this, and they're going to put the reinforced steel in along where the bottom of the wall's going to go. So you can see down here they've already started doing that. You can see on this side here. So this is the steel work that's going to be the base of the wall. This is going to be solid concrete, and on top of this, that's where they start putting the blocks. And from here we're going up 2 metres. So all the steel work's in place, the shuttering's in place, and the ready mix lorries here delivering the cement. I've just come out to the kitchen and discovered that the water's not running, water pump's not kicking in. First thing you do is check the valve from the meter, from the government supply. That's fine, that was on. Check the water tank. The water was very low in there, telling me there's no water coming through from the meter through to the tank. Now, we've got 2 things there that could cause a problem. We've got the float valve, which is this. That's the thing that switches the water, that cuts the water on and off as it comes through the valve. So you've got the pipe coming into the tank, pipe coming into the top of the tank through here, and this is what stops it as the water fills up and then lets it come in as the water drops. Now, the water level being low, it's obviously not stuck at cut-off point. So the other thing is, when the water's low, is we've got that float valve that I've shown you in an earlier part of the video. So that's sitting right down because the water level's low, cutting the pump off so the pump won't work. So we're looking at a problem with the input, the water coming into the tank, and this is it. We've had it before and it's happened again. The little float, these are really cheap little things, the way they're put together, and I'll show you exactly what's inside now. I didn't do it on the last one, I should have done really, but another opportunity to do it now. Oops, don't lose the screws. You hear a bit of noise behind me. I've got the builders continuing to build the wall, and where I've taken this off, I've got water running into the tank, so I need to keep an eye on that as well to make sure that the tank doesn't overflow when it reaches the level. There's a lot of water to go in that tank, by the way, so it's going to take a while, but if the water reaches the level before I get this fixed, then I'll just have to switch the meter off. So okay, let's open this up, and this is what you got. This is the little valve, and it just works on this. Let's see if you can see this. There's like a little air hole there, and that's what works the diaphragm inside here. If there's no air getting in there, that diaphragm closes up and stops the water flowing through here and out here. And the thing that controls that that air vent being closed and causing the diaphragm to block it off is this little float in here. And you can see it's just a tiny little bit of plastic, hollow plastic, and you might be able to hear the builders behind me. Anyway, so as the water level rises, this comes up, it pushes that up, shutting the air vent off, that little hole, causing the diaphragm can't come down anymore. It seals that off with the diaphragm. And this is the problem, this piece here. What happens is, if this isn't sitting exactly true, it goes up the other way, but I'll show you this way up. If it isn't sitting exactly true, see that will move up and down in there now. Now it's stuck again, you see. It keeps on getting stuck in the up position. And I don't quite know why. So that's all there is to it, really. It's a very simple device, and I believe it's the fact that this might not be sitting, it sits that way up, might not be sitting exactly vertical. If it sits slightly at an angle, which it can do when it's connected to there, if that is connected to the pipe and it's sitting like that or like that, that's going to cause that little float inside there to sit at an angle, and I think that's what's causing it to wedge. Okay, so I'll put it back together again. I think the Thai guys are having a say as well. They're saying, look at the silly Farang trying to fix his water system. No, I don't think so. They're talking about the build they're doing. Okay, so I'm going to put this together now and see if it works this time. So there it is in place, and what I was saying, if this isn't sitting plumb, you see how that's moving, then I can imagine that that little valve, that little float I mean, comes up to the top of that blue chamber and then won't drop because it's not sitting straight. So I'll just give it a last try. If this doesn't work, if it gets jammed again, this is going to get booted up the end of the garden. I'm going to go and buy a new one, different one. So we're getting very, very close now to it reaching that level where the float's going to start lifting up. Oops, almost fell off the top of the wall that I'm standing on to peer in. Right, so I'm thinking that that's about vertical. There you go. So it's working as it goes up that way. Pookie, could you switch the tap on for me in the kitchen sink? Just leave it running for a minute so I can see if this starts to... Just turn the kitchen tap on, please. Leave it running. So you see the... Okay, so Pook's just turned the kitchen tap on, and already the level's starting to drop. So you can see that's just sort of like keeping up with the flow of the kitchen tap. So as the kitchen tap is using water, so that's allowing the float to drop and allowing that to just top up. We need something more running. Okay, Pook, leave that running. Will you put the bathroom sink tap on full, please? You see, we've got pretty good pressure here. The government supply is pretty good because now we've got the kitchen tap running full, we've got the bathroom sink running full, and it's still sort of like keeping up with it. Okay, I'll leave it at that for now, just keep an eye on it and see if it continues to work. But that's the problem anyway. It looks to me that that little tiny float gets stuck inside that blue chamber. So the water level drops, the float doesn't drop, and we don't get any water coming in the tank. And of course the tank drains, and then the float valve does its job and cuts the pump off, and then we don't get any water to the house. Okay, the wall's coming along nicely. The guys that were building it had to have a couple of days off to help out on the family rice farm. And this is what it's like here in Thailand. Something in the family, like the family business needs help. Everyone just down tools and goes to help them, which is fine. There's no rush in building a wall, is there? But, so yeah, we've gone 9 bricks up now. And when they put they're going to put a beam on the top now. It's going to bring it up to approximately 2 metres, which is plenty high enough. Every 2 rows of bricks they put this steel in, and that connects into this and runs right the way the length of the wall. Next job, I've been told, they put formwork up here, and then they fill these with cement to make these posts, so everything's tied in together. And then they'll be making some formwork at the top there to put the top beam on. That's going to be all solid concrete, all wired into these posts as well, and of course these little wire spikes on top here, and that'll be it. Absolutely solid the way they construct this. Yeah, they're doing a good job. Really pleased with it. I thought I'd show you this morning how this wall's coming on. And I'm going to attempt to climb up on this homemade trestle that the guys use when they're working on the top of the wall. Oh, that's the water pump kicking in. Pook's up in the shower. So yeah, a little bit rickety, but let's see if it takes my weight. Yes, it does. Okay, so they've built the blockwork. All the blockwork's up in place. The steel reinforcement is in place where the posts go, and then what they do, they build this former around where the posts go. You see that down there? And then a bit of wood this side. Because we want our side of the wall smooth, they're going to render this smooth and just put an impression, like a little pattern in it. But then once they put this formwork up, they just fill it with cement, you can see. Back to give you an update on the wall. So all of the posts have been done now. You can see the formwork's been taken off, and all of those uprights are done now, filled with concrete, encasing all of this steel work, this reinforced steel. And then what they've done, they've put these steel bars along the top here and tied them together on these little pieces of steel that are sticking out of the top of the wall. Now what they're going to do is they're going to put a 15 centimetre beam. They're going to pour a 15 centimetre beam of concrete around the top of the wall to protect the top of it, to stop rain coming down into the wall, and it will give it strength and hold it all together as well. So what they're going to do, it's a 15 centimetre beam. They're going to put the formwork up and they're going to pour that in. So what they're going to do is cut all of this steel work down to, I think it's 14, maybe 13 or 14 centimetres above the level of this wall. All of these, you see some of these metal spikes are a little bit high. So all of those will be cut down to 13 or 14 centimetres. Then the formwork will be put up 15 centimetres, and then they'll just pour cement in the top of that, and that will all be bonded as one, right the way down to from the end now, right the way around down to the front of the house. And here it is, the finished product, all rendered and painted. I think they've done a great job. Just put that little line to break it up a little bit rather than it being too plain. And yeah, really pleased with it. It looks good. In the background there, you'll see Pook's dad taking down those banana plants. Tune into the next video and you'll find out what's going on there. Why are we building a small 7-Eleven in our back garden? Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.